Hello friends, let's get into our second stitch tutorial for the day, which is the open shell stitch. So I'm doing this one in the lovely Twister Solid in the pink. The reason why I wanted to show you this stitch is without revealing too much, it is a stitch that is involved in one of my favorite patterns ever. So if you go to my TikTok, which is at Cass's Crochet, so CASSS Crochet, and have a bit of a look around, you'll see very quickly which pattern I am referring to. So I just wanted to show you how you can actually do this stitch on its own and without involving without involving anything. So you could make like an entire blanket out of just this particular stitch, which I think would look incredible just because the stitch is really, really beautiful. Okay, so the open shell stitch, as you can see, I've started off with our chain and the base that I've done. I'll explain this to you, what I've done now. So the open shell stitch, we work it in multiples of 5 plus 1. So you'd be doing like, say if you want to do 3, 4, 5, you'd be looking at like, 5, 10, 15, 20 plus 1. Okay, so in our first layer, we'll do 1 single crochet into every chain just because it makes it look much tidier. And you know that I'm a huge advocate of doing a layer of single crochet into all of our chains just to make it look a bit nicer. Then in our second layer, what we'll actually do is you will chain 2, then you skip 1 stitch, then do 1 double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch. So you can kind of see, I'm just going to try and bring it up a little bit closer, that I've kind of made a bit of a lattice with spaces here, and this is essential for doing this open shell stitch. Okay, so bear with me and let's get started. So for our very first stitch, what we want to do is a chain of 2. So 1, 2. This is going to count as our first double crochet. Okay, so in the first chain space, we skip that and we skip our first stitch, and then we move to our second chain space. So with this shell stitch, we're working in the spaces. Okay, so in this first space, we'll do 2 double crochets. So we've got 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets again. 1, 2. So see, you can kind of see how this open shell stitch is starting to look. Okay, then what we want to do is skip our next single stitch, skip our next chain space, skip the next single stitch, and in the next chain space, we will do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Okay, so just counting out your chain spaces and where you're actually putting your stitches is important. You see, I've accidentally picked up an extra strand of yarn just there, which I should not have done. So I'm just going to quickly unwind that and we'll do it again. No drama. I feel like that's my favorite saying lately. Everything is no drama. Okay, so in our chain space, we're doing 2 double crochets, chain 2, pull out a bit more yarn from our yarn cake, and then chain, do 2 double crochets. Okay, so then you can see we have two beautiful open work shells. All right, and then again we're skipping our single stitch, skipping a chain space, skipping our single stitch, and in our next chain space, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Okay, so 1, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets, 1, 2. Okay, and then we go skip our next single crochet, skip the chain space, and then in the very last stitch we're just going to do 1 double crochet into the very last stitch on the row, just to tidy that back up. Okay, so there you have it, 3 pretty open work shells. Now, the way that we work our rows going forward is we'll do a chain 2, and then in actually the center of the shell from the previous row, we'll do another one of these open work shells. So 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. So just bear with me and watch, and you'll see how this starts to work out. 2 double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets. Okay, and then in the chain space of our open work shell, the next one, we're going to work another shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And then in the last shell, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So in our chain 2 space, we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets, 1, 2. And then in the very last stitch of the row, which we'll go and count down, so over here, we will do 1 double crochet to finish off our row. Now let me show you that. Let me move that to the side a little bit. Now look at that. Isn't that something to behold? Isn't that just beautiful? Literally, we just did a V-stitch a minute ago, which was using half of the stitches, and now we've doubled the stitches and we've made these beautiful pointed arched shells. Just, I love them so much. Honestly, I'm actually inclined to maybe make a wrap or something like that, just out of these beauties. Okay, anyway, so that is our open work shell. If you get stuck, please just rewind back the video and have another watch. If you have any questions, please just pop them up on the YouTube video or pop them over on my TikTok. I'm obviously working on Australian time, so I'll be floating around probably for the next 12-ish hours. However, that being said, the grand final of Dota 2, which is video game, is currently on, so we are keeping odd hours so that we can watch some of the games live. So, you know, you never know, just try your luck, pop up a question, you know, you might get an answer from me at, you know, my 3 a.m. So it's all good. Anyway, so I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you love this stitch as much as I do, and I will be back in a little bit to show you how to do the bobble stitch, which is another one of my favorites. I feel like I say in every video that this is one of my favorite stitches, but these two stitches, legit, probably my 2 favorite, plus a waffle. But this one I think is definitely number 1. Anyway, stay tuned, and I look forward to showing you how to do the next stitch.